mean, I don't even know where to start, really. And that was great, and I know what it's like losing old dogs, but I think Sia was going to bring the ashes of our old dog here, and you ought to ask her about what happened to that. So, you know, but Dad would think that was funny.
Dad, he would.
So
Dad would have wanted, you know, one of the things I promised my dog when I held him when we put him to sleep, and I said, I'm going to take you up to Granddaddy, because he would always sit up. Dad spoiled dogs rotten. And
Dad loved dogs.
he would sit there. He was a big old lab, and he'd sit there with his jaw on Dad's leg, and Dad would eat his piece, eat a bite of breakfast and feed it to the dog, and back and forth.
But instead, Piper ended up with all the other dogs,
and they
that
all
were
go to
unclaimed. So Piper started off unclaimed and ended up.
They mismarked Piper's ass.
And I actually have a little poem I want to read, but first I have to tell a real quick story, very quick. And the poem I'm reading is one I wrote, so it's very short because I'm no poet. But the day of Dad's memorial service up the road at the church, C and I were coming back, and somebody had made a huge cake. And, you know, you're right about Dad. Dad had a great sense of humor. I mean, and that's what I'm really left with in the end, is that sense of humor.
I think we all have.
So there was a big cake there, and we were, of course, charged with taking the cake back to the house where everyone was coming next. So it was quite large, and we had all this other food packed up in the back, and we're taking the shortcut over here on, what is that, Rose Mill Road? And we're traveling up the road, and we look over and we see all these kids playing. All these kids are just running and playing, and there's a very young mother there with the children, and Sia says, you know, I think Dad would like it if we gave him that cake. So we just pulled over to the side and rolled down the window, and Sia goes, hey! Y'all want a cake? And they all came running over and looking at us suspiciously. They were little children. Yeah, they didn't have much, but they were having a good time. And Sia said, they said, cake? And Sia said, yeah, do you all know Dick Powell? And they said, no, what'd he do? And we knew Dad would have loved that story. We said, no, he didn't do anything. He's giving you this cake. So, this is a poem I wrote after a year of Dad's death, and I do a calendar every year for the family. And when it came to putting a picture of Dad in the calendar, I couldn't find anything that I always put little sayings or verses in there.
And we have 10 years of calendar.
I couldn't find anything that worked, and I would take something to Jerry, and he would go, oh, God, that's so depressing. And so I wrote this, and I'm not a poet. I can from time to time write, but not poetry.
Okay.
But the good news is, Dad said any poem you couldn't understand, he used to rib Jerry about it. It wasn't worth anything anyway if you had to back up and figure out what it said. So this is the poem after the first year. This year's been rough and out of sorts. To lose you wasn't fair. Or so I thought until I felt your presence everywhere. You're in my garden, fragrance keen, stronger than the rose. You're in the night sky, high above the brightest star that glows. You're by my side to push me on, a challenge I must meet, reminding me above all else, a clear head is the beat. You're strolling with me when I walk around the old home place. I round the hill and turn to see the memories in your face. I've come to know the truth of it, a truth I feel so clear. No matter what, no matter where, your soul is always near.
Very good. Congratulations, getting
Becky
through it.
didn't, Becky didn't want to read, so Donna is going to read a little piece that came out in several magazines after Dick died. And there's just a little bit about him. Bragging.
Yeah, this appeared in the Carolina, Virginia Farmer. I guess it's a magazine.
Yeah.
But the title of it is Well-Known Former North Carolina State University Pathologist Passes. But this is a little bit about his life. Dick was born July 7th, 1928 to Annie Morton Lovelace and John Edward Powell in Halifax County, Virginia. Growing up on a tobacco farm that included using mule power provided Dick with an appreciation for the rewards of hard work and taking advantage of life's opportunities. After high school, he earned the BS degree in agronomy at Virginia Polytechnic Institute. Lauren, that's Virginia Tech. And he then served as an anti-aircraft artillery officer with the U.S. Army during the Korean War. After completing his active military duty, Dick enrolled in graduate school at NC State University, where he earned the MS and PhD degrees in plant pathology. And he joined the department in 1958. In addition to being a devoted husband, father, grandfather, and a person of enduring charm and wit, Nathaniel was an exceptional neighbor, a world-renowned research scientist and educator. He had a golden touch in his plant pathology research, superb delivery, and communication in the classroom and laboratory, as well as in his community and church.
Did Dad write that?
Yes, he must have
That was written by. I never saw that until a few weeks ago. It was written, somebody sent it to me 3 years later. It was written by a man at Georgia Tech, I think.
His name was Ford.
Anyway, I have a poem, but I can't read it. So maybe I'll read it when we say the blessing on the porch. I can't. We're through.
Absolutely.
Wait a minute. Ann says, oh, Ann, okay.
Whenever I think of it, he always called me Annie, and it always made me feel so good. And my memories of him, I love to hear him tell stories. And I think he got as big a kick out of it as we did. But one of the stories I remember was we were going to a Gorham family reunion from here, and you had Natty T.
Not a boring family reunion.
Gorham, sorry. Gorham. I'm sure many of you remember Natty T. Dick asked my mother if Nat could ride with us because we had air conditioning.
We had to.
So Nat rode to the family reunion on the armrest with the air conditioning blowing on his face. Both ways.
He was named after Dick.
He
No
was a
sons,
dog. He
but
was
the
a dog.
Natty T was the dog.
Dachshund.
A big dog.
Okay, right, I think that's everybody, unless anybody else has to say anything. Okay, we'll, oh, there's that sweet new thing over there. We'll talk about that later.
I think one of the nicest things you could do at a dedication to a memorial garden is memories. And that's exactly what we've been sharing. At this time in our service, we come to the point where it is appropriate to approach the burial or the interment of the ashes. And I found a service that I really liked, just a brief paragraph and a couple verses of scripture. And it goes, "My friends, we have come together to bury the ashes of our loved ones. In doing this, we recall that our bodies bear the imprint of the first creation when they were fashioned from dust. But in faith, we remember too that by the new creation, we also bear the image of Jesus who is raised to glory. We have the confident hope that one day God will raise us and transform our mortal bodies." John chapter 14, verses 1 to 3 state, "Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you, and if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also." Colossians 3, verses 3 and 4, "For ye are dead, your life is hidden with Christ in God. But when Christ, who is our life, shall appear, then shall ye also appear with him in glory." And then finally, Romans chapter 6, verses 8 and 9. "Now if we be dead with Christ, we believe that we shall also live with him, knowing that Christ, being raised from the dead, dieth no more. Death hath no more dominion over him." At this point, I think it would be very fitting for the three families to inter the remains